Have you received like sexual education from high school or from your parents?
Yeah, actually, I've had like sexual education from high school itself because they invited people like professors, doctors to like do a seminar in the high school. Parents, they talked about like what to do and what not to do for like certain like situations, and that's mostly it.
Absolutely, I have, because like in high school, like we were taught in like we were given a talk, like doctors and also like lecturers and professors come to our school and educate us on why things are certain way and how this can happen, and like talk to us about like diseases, how you can prevent it, what to do afterwards, and then like my parents told me, like educated me on what you can do, what you cannot do, why you cannot do it, because like you're trying to keep yourself safe and also your partner safe as well.
Okay.
For school, not exactly. I would say they do have a program or two, but they didn't really go in depth on the topic itself. They will like say, oh, don't let anyone simply touch you here and there, but then they don't really say like, why is this important and not whatnot. As for parents, I don't think typically in Asian culture, I don't think they really open on this kind of topics. Normally we just find it out ourselves eventually. Yeah.
Not particularly. From high school, there was only one event when we were Form 4, where they sort of put all the classes together and we had a presenter come in and explain some concepts to us. It was centered around abstinence, and we didn't really cover many things in depth. I've never really spoke about it with my parents before either.
Well, for the next question, do you think our current like sexual education, like the syllabus, like taught in school or even talks given by the school, do you think it is enough for our current generation?
In my honest opinion, I don't think it's enough, because like there's a lot of people who don't know things about their own body, like what to do after if we do, like if we get the disease, like what do we do? Like some people do not know like about AIDS, like about gonorrhea and all that, like what to do afterwards, like what they should do, how to get help, how to treat yourself. Like some people do not even know what diseases, what symptoms, yeah, and like it's a bit upsetting to see that people are not getting educated enough on how to manage their own diseases and stuff, or like how to treat or how to prevent even. Because like just by telling them to buy condom doesn't mean that it's enough, because some people don't know how else it transmits and all.
Well, especially comparing it to other countries, it seems as though we have much lesser sexual education, or none at all in fact. So maybe we need to change that in due course.
I'd say at least they're doing something about it, but there is room for improvement because they don't give enough education in school, from my experience. And they don't really touch on sensitive topics like consent or sexual violence. They don't expose us to these kind of things, and as well as like where do you get contraceptions, and as well as like your sexual health. Like they don't really touch on these kind of areas.
Like they don't touch a lot on like STI, STDs.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really talk about like the sicknesses or disease that you might get, if you have.
Honestly, I don't think so.
Why do you think that?
Because like sexual education is like, it's not just like specifically about like having like safe sex or like something like along those lines, but like it's also like how to keep yourself safe from like
STIs, STDs
and like STIs, those kind of stuff. Also, we also need to get like the kids educated on that. So.
Well, for our last question, what advice can you give to other teens or growing teens to help improve the situation? Because there's a widespread increase in teen pregnancies across Malaysia right now.
The few advice that I can give is basically educate yourself. For example, if you don't understand something about something for example, oh, how do people usually get syphilis or STDs and all that stuff? You search it up, you do the stuff that basically like, oh, wear a condom or like something along those lines to just like prevent it, or just don't do it at all. But for like there's some like very specific like situations also which we cannot like prevent. So those I'd rather like people just go to like doctors if they have like certain like questions, like very personal questions.
My advice is that they should learn about what they're gonna get into, like how they're gonna do things, and like just learn more about yourself and your own body, because at the end of the day, it's not just you, it's you and your partner, and you also have to know, do you want to do it at all, and like you have to do safe sex and a lot of this stuff. But like if you're not comfortable, do not do it. And like if you got something, and you have to also look at a doctor, like get doctor's opinion on what to do if things happen by the end of the day. But looking for a doctor or like looking for advice, like you should look for someone who is like a professional style, because these things we do not want to say like it could happen, like it's a 50-50 chance or so. And always make sure to wear protection, that's like number one.
So obviously this is a very complicated issue, but I think it starts with better sexual education, understanding what is okay and not okay, and how to safely carry out these measures would be extremely helpful in preventing this issue. Additionally, better access to contraception would help, as this has been shown to reduce such rates. I think it could also be useful for us to change the culture such that parents are more comfortable talking about these topics to children, because this would help them understand their boundaries better, this would help them get access to contraception better, this would help them be more positive towards the usage of contraception. So that could help a lot. Obviously this issue is very problematic. It leads to high rates of single motherhood, which directly affects our economy. People of this nature, they tend to struggle in life because they're not ready for such a large responsibility. So it is really important for us to tackle this issue.
To have proper sex education, a more comprehensive one at that, and also to provide more support for this teenager pregnancy, maybe like give consultations and healthcare so that they can care for themselves and as well have the knowledge to care for their babies as well.